All right, ready? Here we go.
And so is the camera up there.
We're live. All right.
And we're live.
And we're live.
It's happening.
All right, here we go. Hey, everybody. It's Chris and Hannah with Life 180, and welcome to Business with Benefits.
Hello.
And so this is going to be an interesting one. So we've
they're not all
we've had a lot going on. If this is your first time seeing this is a little show that we do. It's also a podcast, but we stream it live here on YouTube to kind of give the unfiltered version of everything. One of the reasons we do this podcast and this video stream or this playlist, I guess, on YouTube is the fact.
Let's just go with show.
It's a show.
Boom.
It's a show. So one of the reasons we do this show is because of the fact that we're both entrepreneurs. She's a real estate advisor, I guess is the best way to put it. She has a team. She's training people. She's building her whole business. I'm running multiple businesses. And so being on here, we just know that there's a lot of couples out there that are really prioritizing their business more than their marriage or more than their family. And we know how hard it is to kind of balance everything. And so part of this show is the purpose is to kind of let everybody see, a little behind the scenes, have conversations about what's working, what's not, what we're going through, just be real. And today is going to be really fun because of the fact that we just got back from Las Vegas and my wife here.
You have a little show and tell.
I have a little show and tell. I get to do the humble husband brag.
For those of you who are just listening and not seeing, he's taking out this huge, oversized, glittery, sparkly sash that says
Mrs. American
on it.
So for everybody who doesn't know, Hannah has been chasing a national title in the pageant world since she was 16.
That sounds so bad.
A long time
I
ago.
sound so old.
Well, we are, but it's fine.
Yeah, we're kind of
It's
getting
okay.
there. We're getting there.
So, but she's been doing this for a long time, and she's, really transformed. I mean, if you've listened to our story, watched these other episodes, you know that she's really, really transformed. And ultimately, to have her kind of come away with this is pretty astounding. Like, I think my wife is the most beautiful, amazing person alive, and I still thought it was still a complete long shot, like for anybody to win. It always is.
Yeah, your odds. What's 1 out of 50?
1 out of 2%, but 2%. Even then, it's like super subjective, and like there's a lot of things that go with it.
Yeah, it's less than a 2%. It's 2%.
Yeah, about that. So it is what it is, and the women are amazing, and their platforms are amazing, and it's just just crazy things. And so I thought it would be fun to come on here, because of the fact that, listen, this wasn't an easy thing to do. It was a pretty amazing competition, a pretty amazing accomplishment. And it would be, even though it's a little weird because I went through it all with you, and because of the fact that, we've been kind of doing this together for a while, but I want to walk through and just kind of have a conversation with you about what your experience was like, and also talk about really the journey of the whole process.
Oh, you're interviewing. You're going to interview me?
I'm going to interview you.
Oh, this is my first official interview as Mrs. American.
Nice.
With the hubs.
Perfect.
Now, break me in easy, would you please?
Yes, you got it.
Be gentle.
I'm here for you.
Okay.
I'll be good with you.
Okay.
So it's going into this, I got to
P.S. We've never told my real whole story to
your real whole story?
Yeah. Just like I just did. We did a Facebook Live just now. On my new platform that I was just given, which we
don't have 18 minutes for that.
I'm grinning. No, I'm grinning because it's super awesome and it's super stressful because I was having a hard enough time keeping track of my 2 personal social media platforms, and then adding my 2 Arizona Dream Living platforms. And now they have just handed me on a silver platter complete free reign, as well as complete and total responsibility for building the brand.
Yep.
Mrs. American. And I'm just like, why, thank you. It's like getting a puppy dog that's not potty trained, and it's going to pee all over your house.
You're the puppy dog here, and you're just going to go all over this.
So I'm all over the map. So I just did we just decided to jump on and just get right in there. And we did a Facebook Live.
Yeah, we just finished a Facebook Live
on my new Mrs. American platform. And I don't even know if that's allowed, folks. Like, that might be deleted by tomorrow.
I don't know.
I have no idea.
We'll see.
They didn't really give me a primer on exactly what they expected for social media. How formal or informal, they wanted it to be. But in traditional Chris and Hannah style, it is incredibly informal. We're kicking it in our home studio, and I'm wearing like shredded denim and threw my hair up in a sloppy bun, and it's just real life. Like, we put the kids to sleep, and here we are. So anyway, in that, if it's still up by the time this podcast makes it live, you may be able to check it out on the new Mrs. American official page. But in that, I did go on about my whole personal journey, our personal journey of my alcoholism and addictive illness, and how it imploded our marriage in 2009. So it dragged Chris behind the bus for, what was it, 8 years, 10 years?
A long time.
The long ass time. And then finally it imploded. We call it the hurricane of 2009. And we separated for 8 months. I got into 3 12-step recovery programs simultaneously. And for the next 8 months, I worked in just balls to the wall. I don't know how else to describe it. Full in 3 to 4 meetings a day, an hour a day with a sponsor for 8 months, and additional therapy. And I just absolutely wanted to become a completely different person who didn't need to soothe myself with alcohol, drugs, validation from other people, overeating, anything that was an addictive substance or behavior that allowed me to not hate myself for a second, but then I ended up hating myself more, of course, but to check out of life and in whatever way. And 8 months later, Chris and I ended up reuniting. I'll never forget the day he said to me that I had finally become the person that he always saw that I could be, and that I never allowed myself to be. And at that moment, as he had watched my journey of transformation, we came back together and we got back into couples therapy, which we had done before it imploded, but it wasn't enough to save us, And so we came back to couples therapy and we were like, okay, so if we're going to give this thing a shot, what do we need to do? We need to get really intentional about exactly what we want out of ourselves, what we want out of each other, what we want out of our overall marriage, and all of that jazz. So I went into greater detail in what we just did than I have shared with our business with benefits people. So for you guys, we've touched upon that, but we never really gave you that, like, what was it, 2-minute, 3-minute version or something. So when when Chris mentions how different I am as a person now, I'm rolling up on 12 years clean and sober, and I'm actively still in recovery. I'm doing the work. I work with people in my local groups. I've been a very outspoken advocate for the recovery lifestyle. And just as a disclaimer, it's not to tell people that they can't or shouldn't drink. You don't need to get squirrely if you're nursing a hangover, or if you made a fool out of yourself at the, Christmas party. It's not Christmas, but you know what I mean, the air quotes Christmas party, the company party. Like, I'm not up in your face about it. I'm not saying everybody needs to stop drinking. I'm just saying that this girl needed to stop drinking.
I'll second that.
Yeah. So I'm not here. It's not a temperance movement, folks. I'm just here to say, if someone is struggling with any substance or any behavior that is hurting you internally, and it's hurting your relationships, and it's hurting just your overall ability to enjoy life, then that's what recovery is here for. There's a 12-step program for everything at this point under the sun. They're all over the world. And I'm just here and out, I guess. I'm out of the closet and loud and proud about it, because it's given me and our family a new, as I say in my final answer, it's a new hope, and it's a freedom. And it's the most amazing thing that I've ever seen for us, and the many, 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 just countless people that I see their lives transformed as I work with them and work in the groups that I work in. So that's the whole recovery deal. And so when you say I'm a different person now or transformed, I just kind of felt like, peeps needed to know.
Yeah, understand context.
Context.
Yeah, no, that's good.
So.
No, that's awesome. So what I want to do, this is fun. Hannah doesn't really know I'm doing this, and so I have this awesome little technology. I'm going to actually put this thing up on the screen here.
Ooh.
I'm going to share us. put us up here.
On a screen. How does this work?
And so this is just fun. So they can see us in the corner now, and they can also see the computer screen. And so I want everybody. I was sitting pretty close at the pageant here, and so this is.
He got to be on stage, by the way. We haven't had video. We haven't seen video of that yet.
That doesn't matter.
Chris got to walk on stage, and then they put all the husbands to the side. So you were filming.
So I was front row on the side, kind of stage level, and this is with my camera that I filmed this, so the audio is a little, but it's good enough. And so I just thought, now that she gave you that context, it would be really cool to kind of see her final answer on stage. That'd be a good way to start the conversation here.
Oh, that's awesome.
So all right, so
I'm glad you're managing this, not me.
Let's be quiet and listen to this. All right.
Hint.
Zip it. Zip it, Tito. All right, here we go.
And they can see this?
They can hear it now.
My question is, tell us how you would help to promote Victoria's voice and the victory.
All right, so we're gonna fix this real quick. I can't hear it when I have it hooked up there, so let me do one thing.
Hopefully it's the headphone situation.
I can. If we have the headphones going, I can hear it. So I'll crank it up. We're good to go.
I'm most concerned with the
As Mrs. American, I can't tell you how near and dear to my heart Victoria's voice and the Victory Clubs are to me. I am loud and proud as a person in long-term recovery myself. Thank you. My family has been saved by recovery. We have been given a new hope and a new future. I have been transformed as a person, and by the grace of God, given a second chance at transformation. There's nothing more important to me than sharing the ability to be an example of what a life lived sober and the meaning can be to younger children, and to be the example for them that I never had. That being sober and living in recovery can be amazing and so much fun. So I'm thrilled for the opportunity to represent Victoria's Voice and the Victory Clubs. Thank you so much.
Amazing answer. All right, so I know that she has listened to that 100 times, and so I'm gonna just do that, and we're back.
I
may have.
I may have.
So now that you see that,
Pride.
yeah, exactly. So you can see. So can you tell everybody what Victoria's Voice and Victory Clubs are in
I can.
the context
Can you?
of that? I could as well, but this
Hey,
is your
Mr.
stage.
Hey,
this
Mr.
is,
American.
Hey, can we? Hey, well, every time you're interviewed and somebody asks you a question, can you go, yes, I could, but what about you? Like, is that how interviews work? No, this is your stage.
Okay, no, fine. So the Victoria's Voice and their newest program, the Victory Clubs, it's an amazing foundation. It's actually, you can find it on Victoria's Voice Foundation on social media and whatever. There is a family, they actually are the ones that own the Westgate Hotel that hosted us in Vegas, and they had a real travesty. I think it was, I'm not sure how many years ago now, but their 19-year-old daughter, Victoria, died of an overdose. And when that happened, it threw the family into shock, and they turned over the reins of their business empire. They're in a hospitality empire. This family is super successful, and they passed on the control of their business. It's actually very apropos to what we're talking about, and that way they could pursue somehow figuring out some way into this opioid crisis that we have in the United States, where just so many kids are dying, even on their first use and overdosing. And they launched this, they asked a bunch of questions, they got really involved with the legislature and scientists and all these different groups that are already out there in the community and across the nation. And what they have decided to do, first of all, they published a book, Victoria's Voice, and it's her journal. It's their daughter Victoria's journal through the time that she was struggling. So it gives people insight into it. But as they've learned more, where they really are now, the next stage in this, they've done the legislative advocacy, they've done huge amounts of fundraising. You know, they have a bunch of different campaigns, like 6 or 7 different campaigns, I think. But their newest one, which I'm the most excited about personally, is the Victory Clubs, where they've started officially, I believe, in Dade County in Florida, which is where they live, and I believe the whole county has accepted this program. They're making it cool to remain clean and sober. So instead of the clean and sober kids, like, by the way, I was in high school, I was a goody two shoes, overachiever, straight A, 3-season athlete kind of kid who was never invited to a party. I was never invited to go do any activities because I was considered a loser. I didn't drink, I didn't drug, I didn't sleep around, I didn't swear, I didn't do anything. I was so straight-laced. And I felt like an outcast socially because of it. I didn't get to do any fun stuff. I didn't go to concerts. I didn't do anything fun, quote unquote, because there was always drinking or drugging or something involved. So these guys are taking it and they're using their funds, F-U-N-D-S, to really, I guess, bribe kids, for lack of better words. I think
ethically bribe.
Ethically bribe.
I mean, that's what we call it in the book. Yeah.
I think so. It's Jackie and David Siegel, Siegel. You may have seen them if you're in the business world. You've probably seen the Siegel extended stay suites, or they're now called the Siegel Siegel flexible stay suites. I think they own the Westgate. They own a ton of different timeshares and a bunch of, like I said, hospitality stuff. But so they have taken those resources and they're like, we're going to give you guys some cool swag. If the kids go into the program of Victory Clubs, they have to sign off on these affidavits. They make these affirmations like, I will honor my body. I am worth being healthy. I have a future that it's my responsibility to protect. My family deserves me to remain healthy and strong, and I'm committed to my future. Like stuff like that. They make them, and I don't know them off the top of my head, I'm kind of ad-libbing those. But then they make them sign this affidavit, and when they do, they give them a bracelet. That bracelet, as being a member of the Victory Club, is like VIP status of their middle school and their high schools. So amazing. Like that is such a cool idea. They get, I think it's like VIP, a red carpet, to the lunch line. There's a shorter lunch line. You get VIP. You get after school concerts. Yep. They've hooked up with all these teenage or young adult influencers, apparently, that are giving of their time and their influence on social media to host these events. And they have rappers, and they're making it cool to be the kid who's committed to taking care of your body and staying away from the crap that could derail you. And so winning the pageant this year has particular meaning because they were looking for spokespeople, really, to go to these events and to help launch the Victoria's Voice and the Victory Clubs. So that's why it was so moving to me. I had 2 questions actually that I could have chosen from. You can't see it probably, but there was a little envelope and it had this kind of just classic pageant question. And then the other one was what you heard about that. And it just blows my mind that I am in this place in my life where I guess the world is also ready to hear it too. There's not such a huge stigma as there was 10 years ago, 12 years ago when I first started to share my story. And people now realize that you can recover, you can get sober, you can be a really honest person and someone who does life with integrity and shows up when you say you're going to show up and shows up where you're going to show up and treats people with respect, treats yourself with respect, is reliable and dependable, and cares about other people and their contribution. And I don't think that's always been the perspective. I mean, right? That's not what you think of.
No, it's true.
When you think of like someone who is a quote unquote addict or alcoholic, that's the opposite of what you think about. So it's taken a lot of time in our culture, and it's taken voices like, I'm not the hero here. There's so many other people that are also beginning to do this. It's taking our voices to show up and say, look, we're imperfect creations, but we're no less worthy of respect and your humanity than anybody else.
Well, and I think it's beyond that. I think, at the end of the day, everybody's impacted by it, you know, and that's the bottom line is like, even if it's you who has the problem or you who are impacted by a family member who has a challenge or a problem,
right?
Like, you're impacted by it, and so I think that's a big component to this is understanding, like, what do you do if you are the one who's impacted by it, right? And so a long time ago we decided we were going to share our story if it was going to benefit people, and so it's really fascinating that we're hitting this place now where, hey, we're we're being called to it, and she's got a national platform now. And
the sparkle calls.
you know, be careful what you are willing to put yourself out there as. And you know, I mean, our marriage isn't perfect like anybody else's. We bicker and banter and, you know, all that fun stuff. Probably more so than the average couple, honestly.
I know, you guys see it.
But
we get snippy.
We do. We get, but you know what? Like, but we're also really real. We trust each other implicitly. We know we both want what's best for each other. Yeah. And we give each other permission to hold each other accountable on a level that I think most relationships are not comfortable going with, because in order to do what we do with each other, you have to be willing to be held accountable to a pretty extreme level, right? Like that's the hard part. And personally, and you know, that entails like really being intentional about what you're trying to accomplish. And so what I'm actually interested in, and it just popped into my head while you were talking about it, I mean, the journey to get to where you are, I mean, I'll just say, because if I have her say it, it'll be 20 minutes. But the journey has been amazing. Like, I've been with her. I've had years where it just seemed like a money pit.
The pageant thing. Yeah. So I started pageants on a dare, just so you guys know, at 16.
Yeah.
I was a total tomboy. I was a 3-season athlete, but an ugly duckling. And at some point, we'll pull up pictures and we'll do a little video. And ugly, like physically, yes. I was gangly, really super short hair, tried to dye it blonde, it ended up orange. I had extremely bad acne all over my face and my chest and my back, and it was so bad sometimes that I wouldn't go to school for days and days at a time. And so I got this postcard in the mail when I was 16 to compete for Vermont Teen USA. And I was sitting, I'll never forget it, I was sitting with my brother and a couple of girlfriends, and I had 2 friends. So two. All 2 of them were there with me in that moment, because we were always together, because those are the only friends I had. And the postcard came in and they all just started busting up laughing. And I remember them being like, they sent this to the wrong address. There's no, like, ha ha ha, this could never be for Hannah. You could never do something like that. And when it hit that point, I was like, oh, what?
Never challenge this chick. That's what I'll tell you.
That is the worst plan
So you
ever.
started competing.
So I started competing. I was 16. I was dead last. Out of 4, actually my mom just delivered today
3rd runner-up.
the plaque. 3rd runner-up, which in pageant world means 4th place. Out of 4.
Because there were 4 people. Yeah.
In Vermont, bless their hearts, it's not a hot pageant state, y'all. We're not talking like Texas or, you know, whatever. And so I was dead last, but at that point I had set my mind, like, I'm going to prove people wrong, you know, and I'm going to learn how to do this, so I'm going to do it well. And then the next year I came back and I was 1st runner-up, and then I moved to Arizona. And for years, we did the Miss America system in Arizona. We did the Miss USA system. And I was always the bridesmaid and never the bride. And the bridesmaid and never the bride. And then in Vermont, we won in 2013 after I was sober. And I brought my ugly story in a beautiful gown to nationals. And that was cool. But then I just came back again this last year. So go ahead.
Good job. That was only 8 minutes, not 18.
Well, they just need to know if you're gonna say how long this has taken me as a goal and why is it a goal. That's what people want to know, right?
I understand.
You always say in marketing to talk to what people are thinking but not asking. Isn't that what you guys want to know? Why the heck pageants anyway?
Yes,
right?
that is true.
Yeah. So that's how. That's how it all began.
So in the context of the Business for Benefits though show, and like what I always want to make sure that like there is a message in this for couples, because you know they're you know, it just is what it is.
Yes.
And as you were kind of going through your initial intro, it just kind of, and I didn't know what this was going to look like.
You were thinking about how much money it has cost you over the years.
Yes,
is that what you want to talk about? I was
thinking about how much money it was costing us this year alone, but
yeah, we bleed money to do pageants.
So
it's true.
It's true. But anyway, that is, I mean, yes, that is what it is.
He's actually blushing. Don't tally.
The part of it, I'm not tallying anything.
Don't look at my spreadsheets.
It's interesting though, because we both are super busy already. And so she made the joke about, you know, social media. Now she's got these 2 new accounts that she's graced with. And it's way beyond that. Like now we have 3 kids. I just joined and became the CMO of a life insurance company. I am running Life 180. I am running a career coaching company. I have another client, a bunch of other clients that I'm working with. I've, on the business development side, she's running a real estate advisory and real estate team ultimately here in Arizona. Competing, doing all, being family member, parents and all this stuff. It's insanity now. And so like, she won, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for her, and I think I'm gonna die.
How are we gonna
I'm
do this?
already so tired because I'm constantly working till 11, 12 at night, doing stuff like this, that I'm like, okay, we could do this. Yeah. So I think, pageant aside, right? Things happen to people all the time. And we haven't even really had this conversation yet. This is a fun place to go.
Oh, good. We're having this conversation for the very
yeah.
first time with
yeah,
all of our friends.
But it's not.
on
But it's not just a matter of. It's nothing to the pageant like related. But it's just.
Are you gonna corner me right here, right now?
No, not at all.
Are you sure?
What? Yes, positive. That's not the intention of this at all. I promise. I promise.
Might be the result. Anybody got
my
money to put down?
My intentions are pure. I promise.
This is when he's gonna throw something at me.
She's gonna turn into a rabid animal in about 5 minutes.
Cornered.
So what happens? Because this happens to marriages all the time, where you're going down a path, you have an agreement, right? And I'm doing this. I'm doing this. You're running a real estate team. I'm doing my thing. We both are navigating life with our responsibilities as we see, right? And I think a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
And then something just, bam, bam. Hey, you could take your plans, just throw them out the window, like however you think you're living life right now. Like throw that to the wind, and then bang. Now we got it. Like, because what we're doing, we have to navigate like this brand new thing, right? And it's brand new. I'm talking not even a week old, kind of brand new.
Yeah, actually a week today. Because I went on Friday night a week
That's
ago.
true. So, but we didn't get back right away. We stayed in Vegas and had some fun. So it didn't get real until we got home.
Yeah.
And so, but the bottom line is, like, and we haven't had this conversation for us yet, but I know we've both thought about it. And so, how do you think, like, that kind of thing, what are we planning to do, I guess? I don't know how to say it, is when those situations happen, and it's not about the pageant, it's not about us, it's about, we both have thought about, okay, we know, we're thinking about hiring a nanny, we're thinking about doing all these different things and re-navigating, okay, responsibilities, because I know you have your team, your real estate team, and you're like, holy cow, how am I going to manage? How are you going to? So you have to give the response. You see what I'm saying?
So we're a placeholder, because what we want to do is add value through this show, through this podcast to you guys. And there's a pretty good likelihood that you're probably not going to be entering a pageant, or that your wife isn't going to have the same exact experience as we're going through.
Totally.
But as a general concept, what happens when, I wouldn't say the whole bottom has fallen out, I would say that we've just added another thing. And
I don't mean negative.
It's like all of a sudden a new baby arrives and you're just like, how am I going to do this? So I think the thing that's working so far for us in this is that we have been, just like we always use the word intentional, we're having conversations about it. We know that we're working as a team through it. We know that it's not just for me. I think it would have been really easy for you to be resentful at me if you thought that this was about my ego or my pride or an escape from my life or because I needed to fill something in me, right? Fair to say? Sure. Which it was for many of those years when I was younger.
Yep.
I was looking at it as a validation. Like, if the judges liked me, then I was worthy. And that was a really ugly place to be. And it was indicative of who I was at the time. This time it's completely different. And so I think you knowing in this particular instance that this is a philanthropic adventure for me, and it's my opportunity to use what we have built together as a family and who you've helped me become as a person to change and to serve the lives of others, truly. Yeah. And I'm not just giving that lip service. We wouldn't be up at 10:30 at night on a work night hanging out and chatting with you guys to make no money. Let's be real honest here, to no benefit of ours, if we didn't have a heart to do that. And to be that example sounds cheesy because we're obviously imperfect. But so I think that's one thing, like to be on the same page of the fact that there has to be a balance between making money and giving back. And there's no hard line there. You know, for us, it's like, okay, well, this is amazing and it's a huge opportunity and it could turn into something cool, maybe financially, maybe relationship wise. I mean, you're in business relationships and so am I with people that we've met doing pageants, you know, at the national level years ago. So there's that, but then there's also talking about, and here's what I can say for other people that the helpful part is having a non-accusatory, completely supportive, let's do this together kind of conversation about like, okay, where's that line of what we're willing to do to give versus I'm not willing for us to go bankrupt over this.
Right.
You know? And I said that to somebody the other day. I was like, man, this is amazing, but these new social media channels, I don't know. Like at the end of my year, I'm going to end up turning them over and someone else is going to take them. And that's awesome. And I definitely want to get more people out into this pageant and build their brand. And I don't want to be bankrupt at the end of my year. So you and I have had the conversation, and I would say, you know, to anyone who's listening, maybe think about how you could monetize if there's something that's going to pull you away from your original agreement. Like our agreement is that I'm now in a monetary contribution state in our family, right? I had that brain injury that took me out for about 5 years, and now I'm back, and I'm back in business, and it's wonderful to have that income coming in because it takes the pressure off you. So then all of a sudden, you could choose to be resentful at me that I'm not only spending money on the pageant, but I'm also pulling away from the agreement that we had that I was going to be building my business, and you're investing and helping me do that. Investing money and time in the strategy and the, you know, and the business growth
technology
to do that, right? And using your team to help. But instead we said, okay, we could fight about this, or we could be like, all right, well, where's the line where we want to figure out how can we potentially monetize this? And not to diminish the philanthropy of the role, because like I said, we're doing as much as we can and we will continue to do that pro bono. But if there's a place, like maybe we can write the book that we've been wanting to write for many years and people have been asking us to write. It's not, and as you guys get to know us, it's not about us wanting to do any of it. It's just when it's time that enough people say, hey, it would really help us if you wrote this book for us, or if you did some videos and you started to tell us whatever.
We get a lot of you should write and share your story.
The number of people that have told us that we should share our story is honestly what one of the major precipitors, is that a word?
One of the
precipitors?
Things that precipitated.
But precipitors, one of the things that was a precipiter. I don't know, comment if you can help me out with that one.
If you're better at English than Hannah,
if you did the English
leave a
thing
comment
better.
below.
One of the things that precipitated us doing this, but I wanted to use it in a different way. Anyway, was people saying, yes, we would love to hear your story. It's like someone who has a family member who's struggling, somebody who has been through, you know, whatever. We've already talked about it. Could we maybe write our story as a book, and then if I'm being invited to speak around the country, maybe I have back of the room book sales. Maybe as I'm being asked to grow and invited to grow these social media platforms, I have a book to sell them. I don't know, but the deal is for you guys and for us is just opening that line of communication. We don't know exactly what that's going to look like yet. This is hot and fresh and new, and we don't know. I mean, I might ask for an airline sponsor to help me. I might ask for another hotel sponsor if I can find one to at least mitigate the expenses, and then try to figure out how, you know, I've said it a million times, we can
make it work.
So that's really, that's what I can say to people.
So that's
no matter
for
what the bomb is that's gone off in your life, just trying to think about it from the other person and celebrate them in it, and then work as a team to say, well, all right, how can we make this work for both of us?
And I would just say it just boils down to communication. It comes back to what I was saying before, is like about that accountability. We also have an agreement with each other that we just talk about everything, you know, and whether it, I think one of the biggest challenges in marriage is that like just stuffed down resentment.
Yeah.
When it would be really easy for me to get weirdly jealous about it because, you know.
Ooh, are you opening that right now?
No, I mean,
you're gonna
like,
get jealous. You're
no,
Mr. American.
I know. No, but like, yeah, but it's not even. It's just. It's
and
not
you have
even
a
about
YouTube following.
Yeah, I know.
Hey guys, you have an opportunity. If you want a ground floor opportunity, I feel like I'm that whammy guy.
You're pitching yourself on our YouTube.
I am.
Okay,
I'm just saying. I'm starting this YouTube channel. I have 25 subscribers now. It's kind of a big deal. I was excited about that.
She's gonna be huge.
I had 5 2 days ago, and all of a sudden, kapow!
The growth curve is astounding.
It's really. I mean, if you looked at that mathematically, really, it's
500% growth in like 2 days. That's amazing.
That's fantastic. I'm crushing it, y'all. 25 people. Just don't give the real numbers. So you're
awesome.
jealous? You're jealous of
No,
my 25
no. So what I'm saying, is like, it's really easy. Like imagine, it's no different. Like I see it. I mean, she just won a huge deal, and obviously I'm happy for her. It would be very easy to be jealous because we're competing. You know, like
You'd be petty. You could be petty. You could be not jealous.
Petty as well. But it's the same thing. If like your spouse gets a big promotion or a job that requires them to be busier, so now the agreements and the roles that you each play,
your spouse is taking on more to support the family,
right.
So that you can
when
have a bigger
these types
thing.
of things change in relationships, oftentimes that damages the relationship because built-up resentment happens. Communication is not happening effectively. You know, and it's just making sure that you communicate well, that you are willing and able to have that crucial or bold conversation, even if it's really hard in the moment. Like communicate, be vulnerable, be real. Like
tell your fears.
Tell your fears.
Especially if you're a guy, tell your wife your fears. Hey babe, I'm super excited for you. This is an incredible opportunity.
Right.
And I'm a little hesitant to bring this up, but we are going to have to talk about the finances of it. And so actually you and I set up kind of the roles that we're going to play good cop, bad cop when it comes to negotiating with the organization that I'm with. And the more they ask me to do, I'm willing and excited to do. I'm going to bring him in and be like, yeah, but the hubby wants to know what the, you know, commitment's going to be and blah, blah, blah. So always working together as a team like that is super awesome. And and the other thing too is that I made sure to thank you profusely and see you and acknowledge you and honor the extra work that you did to be with the kids. I was gone for 10 days, y'all, to do this, and you stepped up and you had not only, you know, kid duty in the morning.
I didn't kill any of them.
You didn't kill them. It was shocking. You were not
on
the news.
Got fed every meal.
Yeah. I don't even want to know what they ate. I think potato chips and pickles were probably a well-served. Chicken nuggets. Nice. Chicken nuggets probably, and potatoes and pickles.
There's a couple of that.
Yeah, a couple. I didn't even want to know. I was just like, if they haven't bathed in 10 days, they'll survive.
Oh, stop.
They'll be stinky, but they'll survive. It's all good. And quite frankly, I'm not that much better myself. I feed them healthier, but I don't bathe them. So anyway, but I made sure to thank you and let you know how much it was, you know, I was impressed and it was important and I was really grateful. And I did that in your love language, not my love language, by the way. So if you haven't watched our video on love languages, so that you know what we're talking about, it's from the 5 Love Languages book.
There you go. So
your language, not mine.
Yep. No, that's true. Absolutely. And that's important. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't even know where else to go with this.
Off your face.
I don't even know. I don't even know where to go with this.
Y'all know his love language. You know it. It's out. It's out there.
It's public information. What are you doing? Are you trying to get me to blush?
I am.
It's not going to work.
I'm trying to make you blush.
So I don't even know where to go with this, but like, you know, I wanted to, you know, hop on and brag, you know, first and foremost, because I'm super happy and proud of her. And like I said, this has been something she's been working for a long time. It is going to have, you know, a weird impact on us navigating our day-to-day, week-to-week. We don't even know what's going to come. And with that requires more communication, more flexibility. More like willingness to just endure. Like, it's that old, if it's worth doing poorly until you're good at it. I use it all the time. It's like, the marriage is worth it. What she's doing is worth it. The businesses are worth all of it. So like, even if you kind of suck at it in the moment, like as we like try to feel it out, like as long as we know that we're in it together and doing it and communicating and like give each other enough grace to be imperfect at the very beginning until we figure this out, like then it's going to be good.
Yeah.
Right. I hope so.
And I think it's pretty awesome too. It ended up while I was at the pageant that my platform became essentially business with benefits. It became very clear to me that it was about strengthening marriages through the storms of life. And yes, my recovery platform has been there for a decade, and that will never go away. That's just who I am.
Yeah.
And it's what our story has created, and it was designed for us to be able to share to help people. But in this season, after Dad got sick this fall, and everything just came tightening from being out there to the family unit and the nucleus of who we were. And it really made us thankful, I think, more than anything, of how strong we were. And it made us realize, I think, that we are a lot stronger as a couple than we even thought we were. And I think that probably was what made us want to start sharing. Because people have said for years, oh, tell us about it. Not because we're any better than or holier than thou or like have figured it all out or any of that crap. Just that we try constantly to get better. That's really the only thing we're good at really doing.
That's what Life 180 is, guys. Living intentionally for excellence.
And that's how we literally try to live, is not pursuing perfection.
And we're not perfect.
But pursuing excellence.
Yep.
And pursuing excellence in our marriage, pursuing excellence in our parenting, which I feel like I'm failing at more often than I'm succeeding at, if I'm being totally honest. Pursuing excellence in my hobby, pageant and platform to be able to help other people, pursuing excellence in our businesses. But where was I going with that? So, it just became clear in that moment that it was the nucleus that was holding it all together as the crazy storm blew around us of Dad's sickness this fall, and how we were going to navigate that as a family, and the leadership that you were able to show up and like pop out with, and then I was able to pop out with, and you would hold down the fort at home, and then I would be out leading, and then the other way around. It all was so beautiful that I felt at the pageant I needed to share that. And so when they asked me, well, like, what's your platform? And I was like, just following my heart here. It's been for so long, sharing my story of recovery and giving hope to people. But because of this thing, and the same thing I just told you guys, like the shortened version, because of bringing that down into this really tight family unit, now I'm here to be a warrior for marriages. And someone talked about it in the lunchroom with me. Someone that I knew from 2013 when I was there before, actually. It was someone, and we stayed friends. And she was like, girl, what's your platform? And I was just like, dude, I don't know how to say this. I felt, and I told her the journey. And she goes, Hannah, it sounds to me like you're like a warrior for marriage. And I just got this whoosh. It was Kristen from Rhode Island.
Oh, cool.
And I got this whoosh. And I was just like, oh my gosh. And I nearly choked up. And I was like, that's it. I haven't had words for it. And then somebody else, some things I heard myself say when someone asked me that it was about strengthening marriages through the storm. And all of a sudden, that's what's important to us. And that's why we're here. And that's what this podcast is all about. It's not just about business. It's about whatever the storm is in life. And yes, this is an incredible, exciting thing. It's not about me. No matter how amazing I was this week or not amazing this week, I feel like it was just the right time, the right place. And there are people who need to hear from me, apparently, the poor things. I don't know. I feel bad for them, but that's obviously what higher power is intending. And so I just showed up, and I showed up in my most genuine. I showed up with a heart to serve, whether it was because I was going to help fix a strap of their shoe running out on stage and I was not going to make top 15, or whether it was because this is finally, God saying to me, like, you're ready to be able to do this selflessly. I didn't know. I just showed up. But it's been cool how light we've been able to go through this together.
Yeah, I agree.
And I would, we're honoring each other in the process. And I hope that marriages, out there can just pause and, I don't know, guys, maybe it's like find something to celebrate in your spouse. If things are stale, for some reason I don't know why this
Just
like
go with
hit
it.
right now.
Run with it.
If there's something stale in your marriage, and it's really easy with COVID because all of our fun activities are changing and they've shut down or they've been weird or you're stuck in the house and you need something cool to do, find something that you could celebrate in your spouse and encourage them to do it in a nice way, in a loving way. And I say that because there was this woman actually that I met at the pageant, and then you probably want me to shut up, but she was 60 plus. I think she was 62 or 63. Her name is Glynis, and I forgot what state she's from. Sorry, Glenn. But she was amazing and absolutely just gorgeous, and not in a Barbie doll kind of way, in a 60 plus year old woman, beautiful way. And she was just jacked. She was so fit.
Colorado?
And no, that was Sylvia. I'll talk about Sylvia, a different thing. But so Glynis was the other mature, one of the other mature women in 60 plus. There's no separate category, P.S. So the 60 pluses are competing with women in their 20s, against women in their 20s, if you want to call it that. And they have to hold their own.
Like
and their confidence, their confidence is so inspiring to me. And so I sat down with her at lunch one day and started to ask her these questions. And she has 4 kids that went to all of the different military academies around the country.
Crazy.
And was crazy, just accomplished, and has this awesome marriage of a long time. And her story was she was actually headed to the senior games for track and field.
No way.
And she was doing, it was either 3 or 4 events. Dude,
awesome.
in your 60s? Like, that's
awesome.
Wicked impressive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like looking around me going, honey, this isn't the senior games. Like, did you take the wrong exit? Like, what happened?
Awesome.
And she goes, yeah, they canceled them because of COVID. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I'm a goal-driven person, goal-oriented and driven person. And when they did that, I knew if I didn't have something to work towards and look forward to, I was going to go crash.
Well.
So one morning over coffee, right as it had happened, she was bumming hard. And her hubby was like, you know what I think? You ought to be Mrs. America. And she just starts laughing. She goes, that's a thing?
That's a thing?
Right?
That's a thing?
So she tells me this over lunch. She goes, so I flip open my laptop over a cup of coffee, and she was like, she Googles Mrs. America just to see. And she was like, oh my gosh, that is a thing. So she signs up right then and there
my gosh,
to enter her state pageant. And she ends up as first runner up, which is why she was in American, which is my, the division that I was in. And anyway, so she shows up. And so that's the kind of thing that's inspiring me to tell you guys about. That she knew who she was. She was working towards a goal. The brakes were hit wicked hard for her. She knew she was going to fall into depression or, angst or whatever. And so her husband was the one that helped her pivot. So be that for your spouse. You know what I mean? Instead of being like, you're getting fat and you're not doing anything. Help them find something that would light that fire. And I just love that story. So I keep picturing them and how cool it was that the hubs, obviously was cool enough that he was like, dude, you're amazing. Go do Mrs. America. She's like, what?
What?
That's
awesome.
Yeah. So find a thing maybe for each other, and maybe you each can do it. Or if your spouse feels like they're stuck with the kids all the time and they're at home and they're going out of their mind, you take the kids for a while. I know, I'm going to make enemies. You take the kids for a while, or hire a sitter so that she or he, but she can go out and do her thing and go find herself and ignite that fire for her. Because if I had to be staying home and I was drowning in children and business and COVID right now, I wouldn't have been encouraged to go out and pursue this dream. And so I'm super, super thankful for that. So that's what I can share.
Cool.
If that helps.
Awesome.
I hope that helps someone.
Well, hopefully it does. Yeah.
Hopefully that helps.
So I guess we're gonna call it for now. But I think that's the overall story is encourage each other, support each other. When change happens in your life and in your marriage, make sure you take the time to communicate and still support and give grace through those periods. Because I know for when you're going through it, it can be hard. And you have a lot of emotions and feelings and thoughts going on for you, but remember the other person does too, right? And just try to see it from the other person's side of the street a little bit, and that will help give a little bit of compassion and empathy and understanding, and then just talk about it. Have that conversation, have the communication. And honestly, I think if you go from that perspective, I know for us, where whenever things get meh with us,
Meh.
it's because we're not talking. It's because we're both moving so fast in different directions. It's like those 3-4 days in a row where we don't have the time to connect. That's when like little bits of resentment build up, and it's amazing to me how fast it happens if
it's
you
about
don't
3
have
or 4
that,
days.
you know. And so we need to connect, and that it just needs to happen. And so I would encourage everybody to kind of like
And connect does not mean sex, men. Just saying.
Right. No, it just means talking, communicating, whatever. I mean, sometimes, but like, you know.
I mean,
anyway.
I just like after all of that, these guys could suffer through an hour of us and just be like, click, turn it off. Hey, honey, what Kirkpatrick say? We gotta connect. So put that lingerie on and get over here.
Yeah,
that's
not how it
not.
works.
That's not what we're talking about.
So
Make
anyway,
it
guys.
vulnerable, make it fun, make it loving, make it supportive, and over
And then
time,
maybe-
your spouse will eventually reciprocate the favors to you, our friends, our dear friends.
Perfect.
Anyway.
All right, guys. I hope that helps. I mean, this is our live random ranting business.
Let's go get some sleep, y'all. It's like
Sleep?
11. It's like 11 o'clock.
I think
at
I
night.
had too much coffee today.
I think I'm ready to
All right.
crash.
All right, guys. Have a blessed inspirational night.
Mwah.
It is, what is it on the East Coast right now? It is, holy crap, it's almost 2 in the
It's 2
morning
in the
on the
morning
East
for
Coast,
them.
so hopefully nobody's watching. Anyway, have an awesome night. We'll talk to you on the next episode. See you guys.
Bye.
Mwah, mwah.
Did we do a live?
Yeah.